And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Roger, roll, Atlantic. Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, you know.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
We did have an observation.
Equalize.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Good evening. You are taking a live look right now at Space Launch Complex 40, the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, where SpaceX is getting ready to launch another batch of Starlink V2 mini satellites. But this is not your ordinary Starlink. And I know I say that every time, but if you saw the thumbnail and you read the title of this, you'll know exactly why this one isn't just your ordinary Starlink, but we'll explain more about it in just a moment. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. I'll be your host for the broadcast today, but of course I'm not alone. Joining me out in the field today on commentary and for cameras is Max Evans. How's it going, Max?
Good evening, everybody. Yes, Sawyer, it is not your ordinary Starlink, as you do often say. We have a record-setting booster out at the pad. We have a wonderful clear sky ahead of us, tons of stars overhead, and a rather upset big orange rocket over on a launch pad to my left. But we don't have to talk about that just yet. But otherwise, it is a great night to go to space.
I have a feeling we'll be discussing that throughout the next hour at some point. But yeah, let's talk about the happier rocket for now. And also out in the field today is Jerry Pike. So we may get some occasional chime-ins from you, Jerry. How you doing?
I am doing pretty good here. You caught me at setting up a camera time, but yeah, it's a nice night out here. Can't complain.
Well, I'll let you go back to setting things up then, and I'll begrudgingly acknowledge the producer, as we sometimes forget to do here. Jay Keegan is the one pushing the buttons, pulling the levers tonight. As always, if you have a question, you can tag us at NASA Spaceflight or at NSF, and we will do our best to answer as many of your questions as we can. So, let's start off with the Falcon in the room. The fact that we have a record-setting booster here set to launch on its 33rd flight, which is a flight record for any Falcon 9 booster, and we are now pushing well into space shuttle territory in terms of number of reflights with this one. And it's exciting. Max, I mean, do you want to go through the history of this booster?
Yes, so on the docket over at Slick 40 is booster B1067, and as you already said, Sawyer, this will be the booster's 33rd scheduled flight. So it is already the Falcon 9 first stage fleet leader, both here on the east coast of Florida and over, including those boosters over at Vandenberg Space Force Base. But in terms of flight history, I'm not going to go through all the Starlink missions, but I will start out with CRS-22, Crew 3, Türksat 5B, Crew 4, CRS-25, Eutelsat 13 or Hotbird 13G, SES O3B mPOWER A, PSN Satria, Telecomsat Merah Putih 2, Galileo Launch 13, Koreasat 6A, and 20 previous Starlink missions. Hopefully at about 8.5 minutes into flight, the booster will be meeting the drone ship, a Shortfall of Gravitas station about 600 kilometers or so downrange just north of the Bahamas. And hopefully scooping the fairings out of the water today is the fairing recovery vessel Doug. So on paper, with the exception of the booster on the pad right now, it is business as usual. But again, because of the first stage booster currently poised at pad 40, it is anything but. This is currently the oldest booster in service, and of course, obviously, is the most flown. If boosters could talk, this one would certainly have a story.
That's a good way to put it. I like that. I can imagine that story involves a lot of soot. But
Lots of soot.
interestingly- Oh, yeah.
Lots and lots of soot, yes.
And I mentioned space shuttle numbers. If my memory is correct on the number of missions, I believe Atlantis flew 33 times. So if this mission launches and lands again, it will tie the space shuttle Atlantis in terms of number of missions flown, leaving the only orbiter with more flights at Discovery with 39. That's why I say we're getting into space shuttle
Yeah.
territory here, folks.
I mean, yes, but there is a caveat there in that the orbiters actually stayed in space for anywhere from 5 days to 2 weeks at a time, whereas these boosters are in space for a couple of minutes before they come back down and land. But still, in terms of just the amount of times they've flown, just based on the surface number, 33 flights is certainly nothing to snuff at, and they are certainly well on their way. SpaceX is towards certifying these boosters for up to 40 flights, which is the current goal for Falcon 9 first stage boosters.
Yeah, again, it's that little caveat, but it's just an interesting number in terms of reuse, where the idea of reusing a space vehicle was a crazy concept. Then the space
Yeah.
shuttle came along, tried to prove that it was feasible and economically viable, and then kind of proved it wasn't until SpaceX came along, and now reusability is the name of the game unless you are NASA or ULA.
Right. And that's also 33 flights. So assuming tonight goes off on time, that is 33 flights in a little under 5 years compared to around 33 flights over how long was it, Sawyer? Was it 35 years for the entire
30.
for the entire program? 30. Okay. So still 33 flights over 5 years cuz CRS-22 was the booster's first mission. That was actually my first mission as media here at the KSC a long time ago. Good lord, I'm getting old. Um Yeah, but it's been 5 years since this booster has first flown, back with CRS-22 back in, I think it was May of 2021. So weird to say that this booster seems to be getting old, but the Falcon 9 Block 5 fleet are certainly among the most robust launch vehicles ever flown.
You're getting old. My first was STS-135. I feel old.
We're all getting old, Sawyer.
That's 15. That's 15 years this July. 15 years.
Oh God,
this July?
It is 15. Oh no.
Yup. And
I remember watching it live.
That was
God,
my first credentialed media
Jesus.
launch. Yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, through this existential crisis, let's continue along here. So you pointed out the sky conditions are absolutely beautiful tonight. We like to see that, and I think the 45th Weather Squadron agrees with you that this is as perfect as it gets weather-wise for a launch here. The official forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron showing a less than 5% chance of any probability of violation during launch, meaning greater than 95% chance of favorable weather. And my favorite is they have a list of their primary concerns that they put there. Sometimes it's liftoff wind, sometimes it's cumulus cloud rule. The primary concerns for tonight are none. None whatsoever. Nothing. I love that. And in terms of the upper level wind shear, the booster recovery weather, and solar activity, as you see there, all green, all low. So yeah, greater than 95% chance favorable and no concerns. Love that. So let's continue on here. Also saw someone asking about the trajectory for tonight. Max, what is the trajectory for this 6-104 mission?
So, keeping in line with the theme of the Group 6 shell, Falcon 9 will be heading off towards a southeast trajectory tonight at about a 43-degree inclination just north of the Bahamas. Unlike the mission that launched before this, which was at about a 53-degree orbital inclination, which actually took it into the Bahamas, and of course that was the second time a booster has ever been recovered there. But yeah, it'll be heading just north of that towards the usual Group 6 shell trajectory. So if you are south of Slick 40 or the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, like Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, or even going all the way down to possibly Miami, if you have good weather, you should have a great view of tonight's liftoff. But again, as I often say, if you are north of the launch pad, that doesn't mean that you're going to have a bad view of the launch, but the rocket is going to be flying away from you, so you won't have exactly a good look at the entire trajectory because it'll be arcing over and away from you. But if you are south of the pad tonight, you are in for a treat.
Absolutely. And again, if you're to the west of the launch site and a little bit to the north, also a good chance to see it. And as always, if you do see it, take some photos or videos, send it to us on the socials. I love looking at them. I usually hit the heart or like or whatever, depending on the social platform, if you tag me on it, of whatever you do, because they're so cool to see. Let's see here. Someone else, by the way, said the first launch they ever saw was CRS-22, remembering the tardigrades that launched on that one.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but back when CRS missions weren't exactly, they still aren't. They still don't launch very often. But back then, it was a full thing where media got remote camera access, and there was a whole event around that mission as well, because that was also around the times of COVID as well. Still, so yeah, a lot of interesting memories around that mission for sure. But still, I still look back at that mission with fond memories.
Absolutely. And again, the CRS program as well doesn't get as much attention as it becomes more quote unquote normal. It's the same
Yeah.
deal with the crew. And, crew 12, the amount of media dwindled dramatically from, say, crew 10 or from crew 5. It's
Yeah,
same with the
exactly.
CRS missions. So
You got that right.
we got to keep the hype up, folks. We try to do it, but you guys out there as well, help us spread the word on these exciting missions. I mean, that's what it's all about. Is we want to share the cool things that are happening. Talk about the science going to the space station, and it's like, oh yeah, that's another CRS mission. Cool. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox here. Here's one from Philip Anderson asking, do you think SpaceX will ever get up to the original long-term goal of 100 flights for one booster? Maybe recertify incrementally up to then?
Well, I mean, that's certainly the path that they have been taking thus far. I mean, they had to take the boosters off of the line to certify them after 10 flights, and then it was 15, then 20, then it was 20, then 25, then 30. So it seems like they are going to continue that path really until they reach the limit of what Falcon 9 first stage boosters can handle in terms of flight numbers. Different boosters see different amounts of stress per each flight. Say, if a booster is heading downrange for a drone ship recovery, or if it is going to be turning back around and coming back to land here at the Cape, the boosters go through differing numbers and amounts of forces with the boost backburn as well thrown in there. So I don't know. We are in uncharted territory with this booster in terms of where it is and how it's going to hold up. But I think the goal right now is to keep flying them until they come across an issue either on launch or recovery. So it's rather interesting to see this booster fly, especially because again we are in uncharted territory in terms of what Falcon 9 can handle. We will see how it goes.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if they're going to get to 100. That was also, by the way, for those who don't know, the original plan for each space shuttle orbiter was to fly
Yep.
100 missions, and obviously didn't get to that point. The highest they got, as we pointed out, was 39. But, I mean, I feel like they're going to have to at least try and go for 50 at some point. But they have
Yeah.
so many boosters now in the fleet, it's worth noting. And then they have the ones out in Vandenberg, the ones here in Florida, and we still, over at McGregor, their testing site, still see them bringing in new boosters occasionally. And even we saw them now, converting a Falcon Heavy Center Core into a single stick Falcon, something we never thought we would saw happen, at least in the interim, while, they're waiting for Falcon Heavy flights to happen again. So I just find that amazing, but they have enough in their fleet, it feels like, to be able to get away with at least up to 50 and not have to try and push it to 100.
Right. I would fully agree with that, Sawyer. I think 50 is the current marker for when they might reevaluate what boosters can handle and how far that they want to push it. I think 40 is going to happen rather easily. But again, we don't know. We are in uncharted territory for Falcon 9 first stage booster use.
And you can see there SpaceX's Falcon 9 fleet going all the way back to the old days. You've got the expended, and then you've got the not intentionally expended ones listed on there. Poor B-1058.
Oh God, I know, dude. That booster should have went into a museum. That's where. Oh man, I still get sad about that one. It hurts.
Yeah, and 1059 is there. It's sad to lose any of them.
Yeah.
Yep, there it is. The red text, the evil red text at the top.
The evil red text. Yeah.
Just destroy. It's not even like, anomaly or whatever. It's just destroyed.
Yeah, and
I think here's an interesting question here for you, Sawyer. Regarding specifically 1058, if it did make it to this administration's NASA administrator, do you think that would have changed with any SpaceX? I know it's SpaceX's property, obviously, but with obviously Jared Isaacman having a specific connection to that booster, do you think that would have been a consideration that he could have give SpaceX a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge?
That's a good question. Ooh. I don't know if he would. I think as much pull as he has as administrator, SpaceX is gonna SpaceX. I feel like if he would have asked to have it saved at that point, he would have already, given his history with it. Because even before he was administrator, he still, would imagine has some pull with the leadership over at SpaceX at the time. So I don't know. I don't think it would have made a difference, unfortunately. I don't know if you feel differently, Max.
what could I forgive my ignorance? What's his connection with the booster besides being administrator?
I think no. Trying to think if Inspiration 4 flew.
It was
on
the
that one.
booster that launched Polaris, no?
No.
No, definitely not. I'm trying to pull up the list here.
Yeah, Jerry was just trying to explain. Oh, there we go, double. Jerry was just trying to explain that it's actually 1062 that launched Inspiration 4, which was also lost at sea, tipping over. And then it was 10. Oh gosh, well, which one launched Polaris? Was it 1081, 1082, something like that? I think.
I'm trying to remember. Again, I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. But
yeah, I think it was 1062 was the one that launched Inspiration 4.
Yeah, amazingly, the 1058 only ever flew one crew, and that was Demo 2.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. Again, trying to go through all this on Next Space Flight, which does have a history of all of the reused boosters on there. Yeah, there's 1062 we were just talking about. Also with the evil red text.
Yeah, it's suffered a similar fate as 1058, but yeah, unfortunately.
But yeah, this is in the reuse tab over at nextspaceflight.com and in the Next Spaceflight app. So all of the reused vehicles, including the space shuttles, are in there with their flight history and everything. So you can check that out. Ooh, you could even sort by vehicle. I like that. By agency. There's NASA. There it is. OV-105, best shuttle right up in front.
No. Sawyer.
Yes, Max.
No. Everybody knows Discovery is the best shuttle. End.
Debatable. Jay Keegan is saying best shuttle on screen. I don't see Endeavor there. I just see Atlantis.
Incorrect.
Anyway, yeah. Oh, Lords of Random reminding that 1062 was the bingo right in the center.
Yes, it was.
Which that was Jack and I on the call on that, and yeah, that was. I never let Jack live that down as long as he was still with NSF of the bingo right in the center.
Which mission was that? I'm curious. Do you remember?
I don't. I'm gonna check on Next Spaceflight really quick. Trying to think what mission that was.
Jay saying Starlink 8-6.
Just your ordinary Starlink that became not your ordinary Starlink. Anyway, speaking of your ordinary, or in this case, not your ordinary Starlink, we do still have the ordinary timeline of events that should be coming up in the next couple of minutes here with Falcon 9. Of course, they should be hopefully giving the go for propellant load right about now. And if so, then in about 3 minutes, they will start loading propellants, beginning with both of what they use on Stage 1, that is RP1, the refined form of kerosene, and LOX, liquid oxygen. Meanwhile, Stage 2 begins with just the RP1, and then that will proceed until T-minus 20 minutes and 20 seconds, when they will switch things out, purge the lines, chill them down, and get ready for the liquid oxygen Stage 2 loading to begin. So all of that excitement still to come here let me take a moment to thank some people. Before we even went live, we had Curious George becoming a PadRat member, and J Temp also becoming a PadRat member. Shazbert Toddbot saying, Sawyer, so you're not calling both streams tonight? Lol. Hello, Max, Jerry, and Jay. And there's Falcon 9, and it's getting ready to fuel. And there's SLS, and it's doing absolutely nothing. And SLS now not pressurizing anything, not purging the lines with the helium. And look at this, Falcon 9 also still not doing anything yet. How's that?
Oh my god, it's rolling back! Oh my god, there goes the crawler!
Yeah. It's going so fast, a whopping, because it has no vehicle on it, 1 mile an hour.
Yeah, so you were talking about the Falcon in the room, but there's also a big orange elephant in the room as well.
Yeah, true. For those who didn't see the message earlier from NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman, as well as the NASA blog post, after everything with the 2 wet dress rehearsals that they did went spectacular with the 2 tests during WDR2, they were continuing to just do normal things with the rocket, and one of the things that they needed to do was to purge the engines on the ICPS, the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, the upper stage. And as they went to do so, they tried to inject the helium, and it wouldn't go. They just couldn't get the helium through at all. No flow whatsoever. They troubleshooted. They were finally able to at least purge it so they could get to it using the ground side systems. But then, that's an issue. And so there were a couple different things that they could do, as you see there on screen. Mainly, it was like, we can check the filters, we can check the quick disconnect, all of that. And the problem is anything that they would need to do with those repairs would have to be done inside the vehicle assembly building. So it is extremely likely that in the next few days, we will see this vehicle roll back into the vehicle assembly building. And as Jared Isaacman put it, March is likely off the table for Big Orange. But if you want to learn more about it, Ryan Caton did a fantastic video explaining all the details about it. And you can check that out over on Breaking Space, the second channel.
Yeah, of all parts of the vehicle to give issue, it's the freaking ICPS. The one part of the rocket that is incredibly proven, and it has shown the utmost reliability of any other. Was that robot there, Sawyer?
No, you're good.
Oh. Anyway, of all things, of all parts on the rocket to be giving issue, it's the ICPS, which has been among the most reliable pieces of the vehicle. So they solved the hydrogen, and now they were having issues with helium on the ICPS. Of all freaking things to go wrong, it's on the ICPS, and of course they can't actually service it over at the pad. So it's rather unfortunate, but. Again, like as some of us were still selfishly hoping for an April launch because there's 2 daytime opportunities there, being April 1st and April 30th, and our hopes may come true. But again, I don't want to jinx it and speak too soon ahead of time. But yeah, that is rather unfortunate.
You called it. You kept pushing. I wanted to move to April. No, it'll go in March. And again, March is essentially off the table at this point. It's just waiting for the official word from NASA on that. And they've hinted every single way possible that this vehicle will roll back. The only thing they haven't said are the exact words, "We are rolling back." So,
yeah, I mean, and NASA personnel were very quick to hop on the March 6th net bandwagon, like the day after the wet dress rehearsal, because that was what they stated. They stated was their intention the morning after during that post wet dress presser here at the Kennedy Space Center. Again, it's very unfortunate. We are sad to see it. But again, we are glad that teams on the ground are taking ownership of it and making sure that the vehicle is safe to fly. We do not want the Artemis 2 crew of 4 to be launching on a vehicle that nobody is 100% certain will work properly.
Yeah, especially when there are people on it. That's the most important thing. Is This mission has people. You want everything working right when you have 4 human lives aboard, even more so than you normally would. So that's why better safe than sorry. And again, as pointed out, you can see the official wording there from NASA is still potentially. That's why if you see all the wording of very likely, most likely going to, all of that, it's not technically official. It's just based off of the wording is potentially. So once they confirm it, of course, all of our wording will change as well. So that's why for now we've been saying very likely or potentially. And they are very likely potentially loading propellants right now into Falcon 9. In fact, definitely, because I see frost at the base of the vehicle there.
Indeed. Look at that. So now they are committed to that 1047 T0.
Love to see it. So yes, it either launches at 1047 or it does not. So 31 minutes and 40 seconds from now. And love seeing the frosty vehicle. And someone made an interesting point about this, and it's really a good point, saying, how come this booster doesn't look as sooty as it should for a record setter? It looks like a lower flight booster, Emmett was pointing out.
You know, that is a really interesting question, and we can't answer that with exact certainty, but there are parts of the booster that have been intentionally wiped clean, and more specifically, the weld lines on the first stage tank surface, which have been wiped away to have those welds X-ray inspected, because the last thing you want to do is launch or fuel your vehicle and pressurize your vehicle when there are cracks in the welds, which could lead, or which would likely lead to vehicle failure. But like I was just looking, booster 1077, which is what rolled by for a recent, I think it was Starlink 103, 6-103, about a week ago now. That looked dirtier than 1067 does. So I don't know. Maybe they wiped away some of the sooty areas, or it has just had a more difficult time building up on it. I don't know. I don't think we have a good solid answer for that one.
No, because for all this time, we always get asked, well, wait a minute, could they, why don't they clean off the soot? What, doesn't that add weight? Things like that. It's always been negligible. After 33 flights, though, we don't know. So it's possible, because that American flag is clear as day on the side of that vehicle, where it's barely visible on most boosters at this point that are pretty well flight proven.
Yeah, but it's also, I think, once we see it come back into port, hopefully about 2.5 days from now, you kind of can see it from here, but like it's really discolored. It's like borderline black. That's just what happens when you travel through the atmosphere 32 times at hypersonic speeds.
That happens. But just an interesting note there, and I thought that was a really good observation, and it does seem so much cleaner than it should for 32 flights. There were a couple more people I needed to thank. It popped up and I'm like, wait a minute, that's a really good question there. Bideford with a super chat saying, record tonight, yes. Sawyer, Max, and Jay, thank you guys. And Jerry. Watching Olympics and NSF, which is a must. Bummer about Artemis 2, but safety first. Exactly right. Safety first, begrudgingly, but yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but alas.
Yep. And Marshmallow Ace becoming a Red Team member. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. Joe Papel asking, where is the ASOG for the booster landing? We didn't talk about the recovery assets yet. Max, what do we have downrange for the booster to land on and to pick up those fairing halves?
I did talk about him, Sawyer.
I did,
but I'll happily. I did, but I'll happily go over it again.
We talked about the trajectory, but
yeah, no. So essentially, the drone ship servicing or hopefully supporting 1067's landing later, stationed about 600 kilometers downrange, just north of the Bahamas, is the drone ship, a Shortfall of Gravitas, and stationed about 100 kilometers farther, aiding in picking those fairings up out of the ocean, is Doug. So usual SpaceX East Coast of Florida assets out there tonight. So for them, it's business as usual.
Here we go. Yeah, sorry I missed that. I may have been reading other chat messages. It's not you, Max. It's me.
Classic.
Yep. Anyway, now 27 minutes, 45 seconds to go until the launch of 6-104 and 28 Starlink V2 mini satellites. A little different from the 29 that we're used to seeing and different from the 25 that we saw from the Vandenberg launch that Steam covered the other day.
I
Here's
wonder
one
if that
from-
has to do with the fact of the soot, or the weight of the soot playing into the equation here to guarantee booster recovery. That is a rather interesting observation with 28 compared to 29 normally. But if the weight of the soot was that effective in terms of trajectory, you would think that the booster would fly on a different one compared to normal. I don't know. That's something that's certainly something to ponder.
Well, I know obviously the fact that they want to use the most flight proven booster on a Starlink where it's
Yep.
not a customer payload. So, but this is also a very old booster. This one first flew in June of 2021. So it doesn't have some of the same improvements and adjustments and things that they built straight into the boosters as they got into the newer fleets of the 80s, 90s, and now even into the 100 and 101 numbers. So
Yeah,
I
I mean,
wonder if
five-
that's part of it.
Maybe. I mean, 5 years in aerospace can either be ancient, or it can still be considered young, because of course the space shuttle flew for 30 years. And Falcon 9 has been flying since 2010 in some form or another. Block 5 has been flying since 2018, but the oldest booster to currently be in service is this one, which flew again in 2021. If B1058 was still around, that one flew in June of 2020. But again, they have been able to very lightly and incrementally improve the Block 5 variant to get more thrust out of the Merlin 1Ds, and also increase their reliability in terms of at-sea recovery with the soft-leveling landing legs and other small improvements with the heat shield and others. But yeah, this booster is kind of retro.
Oh, I like that retro. Yeah. Again, I noticed that too. The second that I was looking through the information a short while ago and going, oh, 28, not 29. I had that same thought as you. So I'm glad you said something. Dino Nuggy, great name, with a question here that is very debatable amongst all of us here. It's a really good one. What is better, day launch or night launch?
Day launch.
For
I'm
any
sorry.
mission.
Like that's not even a question in my opinion. Being able to well, it depends on what you're going after. Is this the M2?
Yeah, no, I
No,
think
it's
this
the
is
CRS-22. Okay.
CRS-22. This is this
Okay.
booster's first flight back in 2021.
It's baby pictures. It's baby launch. It's first launch. Yeah, I would generally, like 75% of the time, have to say that a day launch is better, because you can see more than just the exhaust tail, in that you can also see the actual body of the rocket, the first stage booster, stage 2, and either the fairing or capsule, whatever it's flying. And so I think it's also a lot kinder to our cameras as well. So that's probably a bit of a selfish answer there, but more often than not, I would tend to prefer a day launch, especially for Artemis 2. Cough, cough, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But also, there are some things that night launches offer that day launches simply can't. In that, say, if you want to get like a streak shot or a long exposure photograph of a launch, that can really only be done at night, unless you have some like crazy filter to throw on your lens for daytime. You can also see it a lot farther down range because of how the exhaust glows. And also, if the conditions are right when it comes to Falcon 9, if you have clear enough skies, you can see the Falcon 9's entry burn down range, which is like I think at that point it's about it should be about 400 to 500 kilometers down range at that point, which is a long way away to see a booster fly and relight its engines. But it depends on what you're after and what your goals are. But I think, just in my opinion, I think day launch would win more times than not.
I mean, I've been thinking about it while you were talking. I do really like the night launches. I mean, there's something about the night turning into day. I may be biased because my first ever launch was a night launch, and it was shuttle. But just seeing that day change is amazing. Photography wise, it's definitely trickier. But again, you could see even there the entry. This is the one from Vandenberg the other night. But also, I mean, the streak shots are so cool. But then again, I do have a ND, 10,000 and 100,000 to try and get some of those daytime streak shots. so that you can, but then also the regular colors get washed out. I don't know. It's so tough. And I originally thought with methane, like New Glenn, I was like, oh man, these night launches are amazing. It's so spectacular to have the blue color. And then I saw NG2 and I'm like, actually,
Yep.
methane in
That's
daylight is
exactly.
epic.
Yep.
Even the blue with the blue sky was just like unreal. So I'm sorry, it's not really an answer, but it's. I think I prefer night launch most of the time, but it's like 60-40. I don't know if Jerry is available to try and weigh in, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think everybody said all that there's to say, and I think I have to agree with Max that day launch is definitely better and more preferable to a night launch.
And yeah, I guess it's also different.
Yeah, there's a day launch. Look at that. There's a that's the yeah, what Sawyer's talking about, NG2. Yeah, it'll still get blocked by a ship during the night, so there's no difference there.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
I
like,
didn't expect. I
you
didn't expect the
don't
blue to
get
be that blue during NG2.
you don't get
in
any
day.
of these visuals at night. I'm sorry, you don't. Like you just you see so much more during daylight. Like that's why for me it reigns it's supreme over nighttime. Nighttime is certainly a vibe, especially if your first launch is at night. I've had a couple of friends come to Florida and their first launches were at night, and they were just thrilled at how the sky just lit up. But again, like being able to see it up close during daytime and track it like farther down range, and it just being kinder to your cameras, that's completely subjective and selfish. I get it, but it's just it it's in my opinion it's better.
Kevin Michael Reed saying their first launches were at night, which yes, I was next to you for that one. I believe that was Crew 7.
Yes, that's right. Kevin was here for Crew 7. I keep forgetting that.
And I was with Lindsay during her first launch. You were too, Jerry, which was also at night. So
Yeah, that was
I don't know.
a night one.
It's a really
I
good
think it
question, though.
was a Starlink.
It was, but not your ordinary Starlink like tonight, especially as we reach this milestone. It is T-minus 20 minutes and 20 seconds till launch, which means that we are about to see and are seeing what we like to call here the best event, but the official terminology for it is the LOX chill down. So essentially the lines that are used to load Falcon 9 with the RP-1 propellant, that's closer to room temperature. It's colder than room temperature, but closer to ambient. The liquid oxygen is definitely not. It is already cold to begin with, and they super chilled the propellants with SpaceX. So what they need to do is thermally condition that line and get it ready for the cold temperatures that are about to run through it. So for the next 4 minutes, we should be seeing this vent, and once it stops, that means LOX will be loading in stage 2.
And the reason why SpaceX likes to super chill the first stage propellants, especially, is when a molecule is colder, it's a lot more dense, and when it's a lot more dense, you can fit a lot more of that molecule in the same amount of space that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. That is why SpaceX loads all of their propellants so late in the countdown compared to like ULA with Atlas and Vulcan and NASA with the SLS. Falcon 9 doesn't have any sort of tank insulation, and so the instant propellant is inserted into the tanks, it will immediately want to warm up and boil off, especially with on the LOX side, which is I think it's chilled down to its borderline triple point, so it's almost a solid material at that point. So temperature is incredibly crucial for the amount of performance that SpaceX wants to extract out of Falcon 9, especially on the first stage. So other rockets don't have to do that because it is a very labor-intensive process, and you are very much time limited for how long those propellants can sit inside your vehicle once they're loaded. So yeah, that is why Falcon 9 and Starship cannot hold really. Well, Falcon 9 for sure cannot. I think Starship has the ability to hold for 15 to 20 minutes or so, just because of the amount of propellant held in both the ship and the booster, that the volume there just keeps itself cool enough for long enough. But yeah, that is why they load so late, and that is why super chilling your propellants is so crucial.
Exactly, and that's also why it's load and go, because of how cold that is. You go or you don't. So we shall see if it does go tonight in 18 minutes from now. A couple questions from some of our other social channels, which, by the way, if you're not following us on other social media channels, we are over there too. We are on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, and I believe these are from Facebook, and Facebook is also where we post our On This Day in Spaceflight stuff, which is really cool. Chris saying, stupid question. I live in South Texas, but how do I find Starbase launch schedule to go see one with my family? Well, may I introduce you to Next Space Flight? I know we talk about it all the time for when to see launches here and whatnot, but on the Next Space Flight app or nextspaceflight.com, there's an entire page that is all dedicated to Starship. It has all of the past missions, all the testing, whenever there's road closures coming up, all of that is listed there. And of course, as it gets closer to flight, that is where we also start posting the checklist of things that still need to be done and completed to get the next flight ready. So right now, again, I believe Elon posted earlier saying that they're still targeting March for Flight 12, but we shall see. Good question there. And Deontay is saying, I'll be posting my view 3 miles away on my timeline if anyone's interested. Watched the launch 2 days ago as well and recorded. Well, that's all. If you do post it, please tag us. We are, again, at NASA Spaceflight over on Facebook. So check us out there. If you see it, any social media platform for that matter, if you catch the launch, video, photo, cell phone, doesn't matter, tag us. Again, like I said, I look for them. I love seeing them. All right, let's continue along here with some more of your questions. I did see someone saying, living in Florida, the question is, do you go to bed or stay up for the launch? I mean, it's only 16 minutes at this point. The T-minus 20-minute event's already stopped. Might as well stay and go outside, right?
100%. I mean, if the T0 is around like 3 or 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., yeah, I would go to bed. Like that is a very late night for you, and we can certainly attest to how painful that can be at times. But if you're already up, or you want to wake up for it, especially if it's your first one, it is definitely worth waking up for, especially if you are on the beach somewhere or you are somewhat close to the launch site. It is always a sight to see.
Absolutely. It's one of those we talk about it. You'd think it would get old at some point. It really doesn't. It's still sometimes the hours are infuriating, but the reward at the end makes it a little better.
Like we're pretty cranky, and then it goes, and then we're all happy for about 2.5 or 3 minutes, and then we're back to, oh my god, it's so late.
Yep, then it's like, where did the time go?
Yeah, right, exactly.
For me, yeah, when I go up for a launch, it's usually a 2-hour drive home. So I've noticed that when it launches, the drive home feels so much faster than when it doesn't. So just an observation that I've made. Under 15 minutes to go now to tonight's Starlink 6-104 launch. Again, with this booster set to fly for a record 33rd time. Which Lucas Walker was asking, do we know how many flights the fleet-leading Merlin engine has? And unfortunately, we don't really get to see the numbers on those engines, but I think it's safe to say that there are engines that have flown probably 20 plus times.
Oh, easily. Granted, not all Merlins are treated the same. Remember, so there are 9 Merlins on the first stage, hence Falcon 9. That is why Falcon 9 has its name, because of its 9 Merlin 1D engines. But only 6 of those are lit once, and 3 of those are lit 2 or 3 times. Engine 1, Engine 5, and Engine 9 are the ones that are relit, either for a boost back burn, an entry burn, or a landing burn. Sometimes they go with a single engine landing burn. Sometimes they go with a 1 engine to 3 engine to 1 engine landing burn, which is really intense to see because it lights very close to the ground. It's kind of alarming to see. But yeah, not all Merlins are treated equally. Some have more wear than others. But I think part of me wants to believe that engines from booster 1058 or 1062 were at least recovered and reflown on boosters to fly another day. Because in the grand scheme of things, looking back, not all of those engine bells when the booster tipped over were crushed and seems at least salvageable. I wish there was a way to ask SpaceX this, or Elon, or have somebody confirm that engines from those boosters have or are still flying. But we have no way to know for sure. But I'd like to believe that's the case.
Yeah, we need their version of Jared, who's responding to all the questions on socials, even responding to a meme about the size of his ears. So you got to give him credit for having a sense of humor too. I don't know if you saw that one, Max.
Sorry, I was talking to Jerry. What was that, Sawyer?
No, I was just saying it would be nice to have someone who has the social presence like Jared at the moment to respond to those kind of questions directly, or make jokes about images about his ears. Someone made a meme about his ear size, and he responded
my
with his own
God.
meme. Just saying. Let me thank some people. Rosebud, they're voting for night launch because night launches light up the sky. OrtCloud with a tip, tips.nasaspaceflight.com, saying we like day launches because we can see the rocket. Does that mean that Vandenberg is left in the dark? I
Yes.
mean, I think so.
Yes.
And yet Fluffy coming along saying best coverage ever from Vandenberg last night. Best Coast never disappoints. D-Wise and Jack for the win. No, East Coast, West Coast, yeah. How many more?
Although, like I do have to say that was really cool to be able to be able to stream a Starlink from Vandy. We don't get that chance too often, whether it be for weather reasons or just not us not having the actual personnel there to do it. So it was a very unique treat, and we had a view all the way to the pad, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, admittedly, that was pretty nice. But yeah, we try and cover launches where our team members are, and just so happened we had team members out in California, and so it's like, cool, if we can, let's broadcast it, and there you go. Baby J becoming a Pad Rat member. Adam, thank you for becoming a Red Team member. Very much appreciate all of that. Oh man, we are now 11 minutes to go from this record-setting booster, hopefully making its 33rd flight. It's getting to that exciting point. I mean, this is one of those dates, you mark your calendar, you were there when the booster 1067 made its 33rd flight, which, by the way, if you don't have a calendar yet, don't forget, we have them currently 25% off at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. So if you hadn't gotten your calendar yet and you're considering and maybe debating, do I or don't I? I mean, 25% off, might as well. Now's the time to do it for both General Spaceflight and Starship. And of course, all eyes lately have been more on the Space Coast and everything going on with Artemis and the rollbacks and potential, and then, wet dress rehearsal went great, and now this didn't. So that gives you plenty more time as well to get photos of Artemis on your wall ahead of time for launch, of which the team, we've all been out there day and night covering Big Orange over there, and we've got all the photos to prove it, and for all the other missions happening. If you prefer Falcon 9, we had Crew 12 recently. There's a shot from Crew 12 over there. We had the 3 rockets on the pad with Crew 12, Falcon 9, Vulcan, USSF 87, and Big Orange. So all of those are available in addition to all of your other favorite rockets. Starship, they're all in there as well, even some old shuttle ones. Shop.nasaspaceflight.com. So if Big Orange makes you sad, get a big print of Big Orange on your wall, or even a poster. Pete Moss, speaking of SLS, could anyone even super chill the liquid hydrogen to increase fuel density just for funsies? I don't think you'd want to do that with hydrogen, given how finicky it can be and leaking already. I don't know.
It's already cold enough, and the molecule's already small enough. I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah, I think like negative 400-ish is good enough for you already, right?
I mean, if it's already incredibly leak prone, the last thing you want to do is increase its density even more and bring the molecule down even farther. That's just, it's asking for a lot more effort to keep it at that temperature, but also a lot more leak prone because of that. So, granted, I'm not familiar whether how far you actually can get LH2 down or H2 down to in terms of its liquid form before it freezes. I probably should Google that. But with where NASA has it kept at temperature-wise for SLS is about where they want it. Any colder, it would just be a lot trickier to either be kept at that temperature or keep it contained within the tail service mast umbilical. And the orange spray-on foam insulation, or SOFI, on the core stage already does do a lot of work in keeping that propellant as cold as possible.
It's doing its job, and it's doing it well. I would say well, but it depends on the moment. So Captain Q then asking, which will go first now, Artemis or Starship?
Oh God.
It's a lot more difficult of a question than it was just a couple days ago.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the crowd that thinks March is not going to happen for Flight 12, which may come back to bite me in the behind because Artemis and Flight 12 might be pretty close to each other now. But there still has to be a lot that happens for us to really make a calculated prediction as to which will come when. But I think just off of the seat of my pants and just my gut, I think Artemis is still going first.
I'm actually in the same boat as you on this one. I mean, uh, given that Elon is saying March with his most recent post, that usually means add 2 weeks to that. So I think that means mid-April, which would just put it past even an April launch window if they do end up moving Artemis into that. Well, when they likely move Artemis into that time. So
I would be happy with mid-April. So a perfect scenario would be an April 1st launch for Artemis 2 and like an April 14th or 15th for Flight 12. Like that would be a perfect scenario.
and don't forget, there's also NG3 in there somewhere.
Oh God, yeah. But hopefully that does actually happen in March, but we'll have to wait and see.
We will wait and see, but happening right now is the engine chill down on those 9 Merlin 1D engines, like we were talking about with the LOX chill down on that line prior. It's very similar to the engines, thermally conditioning them for what they are about to experience. And one thing we just experienced that kind of has my jaw on the floor here is Jerwa with a $300 tip at tips.nasaspaceflight.com.
What?
With the message, "Hi.
Hi, Jerwa. Thank you
Hi.
so much. Jeez.
Good to see you again. Wow. Thank you. That's all I can say right now is thank you. Goodness gracious, we appreciate it. I mean, that's how we're able to do what we do is from the support. The cameras here at the Cape, what we were able to do at Vandy the other night, all of that. So thank you. I wish I could say more. Let me thank Flippers for gifting 5 Red Team memberships and our Bob, hi Bob, gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Now we're going to have to say hi, Jerwa. Okay, coming up now on 5 minutes to go. For a quick recap for people who might just be tuning in for the end part of the count here, this is Starlink 6-104 with 28 Starlink V2 minis on board. This launching atop a record-setting Falcon 9 booster. This is B1067 that is going to be launching on its 33rd mission here. And Max, for people who might be tuning in to try and see it themselves, what direction should people be looking at? What's the trajectory for this one?
So Falcon 9 is going to be heading on a southeast flight path tonight, heading towards just north of the Bahamas at about a 43-degree launch inclination. So if you are south of the launch site in like Port Canaveral, Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, even going all the way down to maybe Miami or just north of there perhaps as well, if you have good enough weather, you should have a great view of Falcon 9 getting off the ground tonight. If you are north of the launch pad a bit, you should still have a great view, but Falcon 9 will be flying away from you. So you won't have as good of a view of its flight path because if you are south of the pad, it is essentially going to be flying right by you, which is really, really cool. And from that perspective, you can actually see the first stage exhaust plume changing color and changing shape and changing size as it climbs farther and farther into the atmosphere. So a really cool visual treat. And so again, if you are south of the pad, you are in for a show tonight.
Yep, and potentially a little bit to the west and a little bit to the north, but southeast is the way to go for this launch, coming out of Cape Canaveral Space Force Station and Space Launch Complex 40 in Florida. 3.5 minutes to go at this point. The strongback has been retracted into its pre-launch position, which is 1.8 degrees away from the rocket. It's like, why even bother at that point? Well, that is to prepare it to throw back all the way at launch. And when it does so, it's a way to basically protect the structure itself and protect the lines that run through it, including the ones that provide data, power, propellant, and everything needed to Falcon 9 itself ahead of launch, and even thermal conditioning and whatnot to the payloads inside that payload fairing, which is those 28 Starlink V2 mini satellites. Should be coming up shortly now on propellant load, wrapping up here within the next 30 seconds or so. And that will bring us in towards the end of the count. At about 1 minute and 30 seconds to go, that is when we will have the gas line closeout, when they purge all of the lines with everything being fully loaded inside Falcon 9 and getting ready to clear out the area before that of any extra gases that might still be lingering around. Then at T-minus 1 minute, that is when Falcon 9 enters startup. That is when the onboard computers take control of the countdown. That is also when the tanks will pressurize to flight level. And at T-minus 45 seconds, that is when the launch director will hopefully give the final go for launch if all is on track. Coming up now on about 2 minutes to go until launch of Starlink 6-104. Under 2 minutes, again, should be coming up on that gas closeouts. At this point, Falcon 9 should just about be fully fueled up with all of its propellants.
LOX load is complete.
And there's that official call out with Stage 2 LOX load complete. That is a fully fueled Falcon on the pad in Florida. So next up will be the gas line closeout. And again, you'll see these big plumes of gas and things around the rocket, the base of it coming from that strongback, the transporter erector there. Totally normal. You expect to see that, in fact. So that should be coming up in about 3 seconds from now.
Gas closeouts has started.
There we go. You'll notice our clock is a little bit faster. That is because of latency from the SpaceX feed versus our feed. So the calls are going to be a little bit behind, but the launch will be based off of the clock in the top left, the blue one on your screen. So now officially under 1 minute to go. In a couple seconds, we should get confirmation that Falcon 9 has entered startup with the onboard computers then taking control of the count.
Falcon 9 has entered startup.
That's what we like to hear. Coming up about 10 seconds from now, we should get that confirmation, hopefully from the launch director, of a go for launch.
Launch director, go for launch.
And there we go. We have the go for launch. 30 seconds to go now. Coming up next at about T-minus 7 seconds, that is when the water deluge system activates with something known as the Rainbirds. That is followed at T-minus 3 seconds by the ignition of those 9 engines using something called TTEB, which is a green flash at the base of triethyl aluminum triethylborane, and then liftoff. So the Rainbirds should be active. We should have ignition. And liftoff of Falcon 9 Booster 1067 on its record 33rd flight. And it is on its way. Let's listen to the sound. Sound tonight as Falcon 9 now going faster than the speed of sound and also passing through max Q. That is maximum aerodynamic pressure against the vehicle. So it's experiencing the strongest forces in flight at this point. Now 90 seconds into launch, everything looking good so far. About a minute to go or so left on this first stage, which at about T-minus 2 minutes and 25 seconds, that's when we should see MECO, main engine cut off, those 9 Merlin 1D engines shutting down, followed by the stage separation between stage 1 and 2, and then ignition of the second stage Merlin vacuum engine. And now as it gets thinner, into the thinner parts of the atmosphere, you can see that plume expanding, and now is when the color will start to change from that orange to the purple to the blue. And there it goes. Gorgeous. Love when Falcon does that. And about 10 seconds left on stage 1 on its way uphill at least. It will then work its way back downhill to hopefully land on the drone ship downrange. Standing by for Miko. And there is main engine cutoff. First and second stages are separating. And ignition. That is second engine start 1. The Merlin vacuum engine on stage 2, igniting. And you can see some of those puffs from the cold gas jet thrusters on Falcon 9's first stage as it orients itself now for its return trip back to Earth. It's hopefully making its 33rd landing downrange with a shortfall of Gravitas ready and waiting in the Atlantic. Next up will also be the fairing halves separating away. That's the two protective cones, essentially, at the top of the rocket that encapsulate those 28 Starlink satellites. And as it gets through the thicker parts of the atmosphere, they're no longer needed, so they are jettisoned. And downrange, you can kind of see them in the plume there on the right side of the screen. The ones that are jettisoned are then recovered. And this time, fairing recovery vessel Doug is downrange to scoop them up, bring them back to Port Canaveral, where they are refurbished and flown again.
That was
Max,
gorgeous, Sawyer.
one. Yeah.
That was gorgeous and very loud as well. That's a perk of of some of the sound being carried through a lot thicker and humid air here this time of night in Central Florida at this time of year. We still have a clear visual on stage 2 and its plume expansion. It is absolutely gorgeous.
The colors tonight also absolutely stunning. And again, I love that transition from the oranges to the blues as it gets into the upper atmosphere.
100%. It's one of the best parts of flight, just visually speaking. And also, if you are south of the pad and you have a more side-on profile of it, you really get an idea of how long that exhaust tail can actually get. It's spectacular.
It really is. And at this point, as we continue to watch stage 2, stage 1 should be reaching the highest point in its trajectory, known as apogee. And once it does that, because this whole time it's been going up and forward still just based off of momentum. Once it reaches that apogee point, it will then start going downwards. Of course, the speed is going to start picking up as it does that. So it's going to need to both slow itself down as well as protect itself from the heat of that re-entry. And that is when we get the entry burn. We always say, Max, it's kind of fighting fire with fire.
Yeah, and they'll begin that with a single engine lighting, engine number 1, and then engine number 5 and engine number 9 will follow soon after. So it'll be a 1-3-1 engine configuration re-entry burn. And conditions tonight are absolutely crystal clear. So we should have a visual of it just above the tree line here, hopefully coming up in about 30 to 40 seconds from now.
And if anyone has been watching this along the southeastern trajectory, I see people who've been seeing it all over Florida here. If you are still out there, keep an eye out. Right around the horizon, there is a strong chance that you will see the entry burn, which is about 20-ish seconds long. And you'll see it do that supersonic retro propulsion, as the official name for it goes.
Especially if you are on the beach. You have that is a perfect scenario to go look for it. But just seconds away now.
Exactly. Now 80 kilometers in
There
altitude, still
it is.
picking up speed.
We see it. There we go.
The field team with the visual on it on their eyes. The SpaceX feed a couple seconds behind, so we'll see that on their feed momentarily.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there we go. That is the entry burn startup confirmation. Obviously, you, Max, saw it out there with Mark 1 eyeballs.
Yeah, a bit of stream
3
latency there, but yeah.
All 3 engines ignited there in the 1-3-1. So we did the 1, then the 3, and then last we'll be cutting it back down to that single center Merlin engine again, followed by shutdown.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And there we go. There's the audio confirmation, there's the 1 engine, and there's the shutdown. So now we should start seeing that plasma through the grid fins there as it gets to that nice thick part of the atmosphere there. It has slowed down dramatically. As you can see, it was at 7,600 kilometers an hour, now down to 4,400 and dropping rapidly. 25 kilometers in altitude. Again, now all that's left is the landing burn, which is a single engine burn that will hopefully place it on the deck of a Shortfall of Gravitas, the drone ship located downrange.
Look at that speed bleeding off now as it gets deeper and deeper into the atmosphere.
Absolutely. And Falcon 9 is not aiming right now at the drone ship. It is aiming right next to the drone ship. And in fact, you might in just a little bit see this sort of single pixel light glowing in the left part of the left box. Yep.
Saw it come up there a couple times.
That is the drone ship. So what will happen is once we get to that burn, it confirms that the engine is up and running as planned. The grid fins will then steer it towards the deck of the drone ship. There's that light a lot clearer now. Then once the grid fins are no longer useful, they'll lock in place. It'll just be the engine steering to hopefully place it down gently atop the drone ship. And stage 2, meanwhile, at the end, almost at the end of its trajectory for its first burn tonight. There is the landing burn. See the grid fins doing their job? Helping to steer Falcon 9. Next up will be the landing leg deploy.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Punching right through the clouds there. There's the drone ship. And
yes,
touchdown! Booster 1067 with a record 33rd flight of a Falcon 9 booster. Here's to many more.
Back shutdown.
Meanwhile, stage 2 just about to shut down. And there it goes. That is CO1. Second engine cutoff 1. We say that because there's technically a whole nother burn that happens about... And that's what we love to hear. They've been cutting it off recently. Nominal orbit insertion. It is exactly where it needs to be in space at the right speed, the right altitude, everything. Beautiful. There is still another burn, as I was pointing out, at T plus 50 minutes, but SpaceX does not show that burn, and it's only 3 seconds long, and that's followed shortly after by the deployment of those satellites. Absolutely beautiful. Stick around, folks. We have the replays coming up. And a reminder, if you did see it, you caught video, photos, tag us in the NSF socials. We want to see them. I'll be looking on X and Facebook and Instagram for sure tonight. I guess I'll have to check out Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, those as well. I do have them. I just don't check them often. Absolutely beautiful. And again, we like to joke, this is DAS's favorite view of on a launch day is the empty launch pad. While we wait for those replays, I do need to thank some people that brought their support during the launch portion of the flight. Because again, once we get into the deep part of the count, the launch itself, that's when, we're all focused on the vehicle. Joe Pistrito gifting 20 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much for that, Joe. Appreciate it. And Mark Lamb with a $50 tip at tips.nasaspaceflight.com saying, I very much want to see my first space launch this year. Should I try to plan around SLS, Starship, a Falcon launch from Florida, or a Falcon launch from Vandy? I'm torn between reliable Falcon versus the major milestone launches of either SLS or super heavy Starship. Thank you for all you do. That's a good question. If you want to guarantee,
I think
almost guarantee to see a launch, you should probably try for a Falcon 9, but...
Yeah, I think the safe bet there is, or the safe trajectory there is just to plan like a normal Space Coast vacation for like a week, week and a half, and you are almost guaranteed at that point to see one fly of sorts. But targeting like for Starship or for SLS, those are much trickier beasts to try and catch. Like if you're trying to catch Pokemon, those are among the trickier ones to get. At least with SLS, you know the actual date range of which it can and can't fly, so you have that going for you. But there's the risk of coming down and it not going, and then of course trying to find accommodation and everything else when you're here, because that is going to be a very busy one. And usually with Starship, we don't have that much notice, at least in terms of what we've experienced so far, in terms of official notice of when it'll fly, maybe a week out or so. So the safe bet is just to come to Florida for about a week and a half, and you'll see one, if not two, maybe three, if you're lucky. But it's a lot trickier to catch one of the bigger ones, but it's so worth it if you can get, oh my God, if you get it right.
Yeah. I mean, yes, the major milestones one are spectacular. Starship, yes. SLS, unbelievable. Even New Glenn was spectacular, but they all tend to delay a bit more than Falcon 9. But I think that's the right call. If you want to try and aim it around one of those big launches, sure, but definitely try and add in extra time before and after. That way you have a better shot of seeing a Falcon 9 in case you don't get the big spectacular.
Yeah, if
That's
you
very good
keep with the Pokemon analogy, it's like catching a shiny.
there you go. I was thinking like getting a Mew or something, or Mewtwo, but yeah. I'm also old school Pokemon, and I haven't really played past what was it, Ruby and Sapphire. So I'm kind of lame about
I
that.
never played Pokemon, so that was probably a poor reference to make because I can't really speak onto that. I've never played it, but that's just the first analogy that came to mind.
It actually made sense as an analogy, I got to say. So that was good for having never seen it. That was very good. And here come the replays. So this is from over at our fleet cam. That is Rusty's Oyster Bar over there at the port. A great place to watch a launch, great place to grab a bite to eat, and a great place to also see all of the booster operations. So when this booster comes back, it gets offloaded pretty much right where Falcon 9 is launching at this moment. That crane over there is what's going to help lift it off of the drone ship and then bring it to land, lower it horizontal, where they will then roll it over to Hangar X over at the Roberts Road facility in the Kennedy Space Center for inspection, refurbishment, and hopefully reflight again. Can't wait for this one to fly for a 34th time now. Get that Dash 3.5 and again have more flights under its belt with caveats than Atlantis. Absolutely gorgeous. And also have to thank them for allowing us to have 2 cameras there, not just one. So, of course, we have this awesome wide view that we could see there. And then we have this one, the closer up view as well. Ooh, that's flamey tonight. Absolutely gorgeous. And that night into day lights up the sky. And the ones that we have from our robotic cameras over at the press site also do a very good job of kind of showcasing that night to day. And in fact, speaking of, almost like we do this so often that you kind of know the order that they're going to be shown in, this is one of those views. Just emerging from behind the trees. It's a little trickier from the Launch Complex 39 press site because unless you're all the way down on the bottom part of the lawn there, you don't really get as clear a view of Slick 40 itself. But once it launches, you can't miss it. And there's one angle of it, and we also have other cameras up there. So how about we take a look at another angle of it from over there? That's the one where you really see the sky light up. Max, any angry creatures making noises at you tonight?
You know, I haven't heard any growling alligators like we normally do post launch because they don't like loud noises, I guess. But there has been an owl going pretty consistently. I think it's a barred owl going off in the tree line off to my right, which is kind of spooky, but also kind of cool. Owls are among my favorite birds. Um, but no, really no upset creatures tonight. I'm genuinely surprised because the temperatures are a lot warmer, and when the temperatures are a lot warmer, the alligators are a lot more active. And I would have thought we'd hear at least one tonight, but we haven't so far.
Yeah, or recently Jerry had the issue with the angry hogs that one launch. And this the behind the scenes, by the way, of you and Jerry. I love this view. Did
Yeah,
Jerry do
no
finger
angry
guns?
hogs tonight.
Was that finger guns, Jerry?
No, I was. Oh,
Hey, rather loud alarms going off here.
yeah. Sorry, the wind advisory alarm derailed my train of thought. But no, I don't know. I'm not. The video is small for my screen. I couldn't see exactly what I was doing, but something.
It looked like a Ninja Decimator pew 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 kind of thing.
So Jerry's the one actually
Should've
tracking
been.
it. I'm off to the right there, so maybe that was me.
No, it was Jerry. You were doing the hands up, and he did a little motion before the camera.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I'll have to watch it back again, replay the stream and see. There it is. Ready?
Here we go.
So the initial track, there.
Oh, were you like reeling it in, Jerry?
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I'm trying to think back. I legitimately don't know what I was doing with my hands, so I don't have a good answer for you.
I think you casted out the reel and fished in Falcon. That was cool. Oh, man. Nice. Speaking of that track, how about we take a look of that track and also, more importantly, take a listen to that one again, because that one sounded super loud tonight. So here is the replay of that liftoff. There's Jerry would be doing the fishing reel right now, and then hands on, and let's listen in. For those who say they can't hear the VAB squeal, that's a good one. You could definitely hear it. Beautiful.
You could hear it for a long time tonight too, because there wasn't any wind to kind of quiet down the sound as it got higher into the atmosphere. So you heard it for a long time tonight as well.
Yeah. That was awesome. And this, I believe, is Gage tracking remotely with one of our cameras that we have remotely operated. Again, we have an entire team over at Space Coast Live, our 24/7 cameras of people able to basically be able to continue to watch everything happening at the Cape and these launches. And all of that available over at Space Coast Live 24/7. And again, this gorgeous, I love the side-on view, since this one's a little further south than the Cape where we have these cameras. And speaking of being able to see things over on Space Coast Live, on the right side of your screen, do not adjust your set. I don't know if that works on the internet. That is the Falcon 9 booster that just landed in the Bahamas, returning as we speak to Port Canaveral. And I was talking about, oh, Rusty is a great place to see boosters when they come back in and work on them. Well, it's happening as we speak right now. That is live on the right side of your screen. So when we wrap up here, definitely head on over to Space Coast Live, see it pull into port, see how sooty it looks after its most recent flight and the second ever Bahamas landing of a Falcon 9 booster. Let me thank a couple more people here. T-Dave, thank you for becoming a launch director. That is one of the highest levels of support here at NSF. We really appreciate that. So you get access to the NSF Discord. You get access to all the photos that come with that in the Discord and all the channels there. And you get your name at the end of the Flame Trench and our NSF live shows as a gratitude for that. So thank you so much. And then MidCon gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Boy, we need more record-setting boosters here to get more people coming in. This is awesome. So many many new people became members, and hopefully you get to check out the member section, see all the photos from Starbase and all the extra photos from stuff here happening at the Cape, and check those out because there is so much cool stuff happening, and we appreciate all of the members. And is that the fairings now returning as well on Bob from that same mission?
So those actually came in earlier today. And I think it was right around sunset. I saw some people posting some photos from port, but yeah, that came in today as well. So those fairings just also came back from the Bahamas.
You can actually see the fairing halves in there. You can see that kind of half moon shape on the right side, and that big curvy thing that you see on the left side, that is a streak shot of tonight's launch from Jerry Pike as well. But yeah, there is the awesome shot from Jerry, and then we got the live view on the right there, and that is Max's shot as well. Very nicely done, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
That is so cool. And yeah, again, you can watch all of that on the right side with the fairings and with the booster over on Space Coast Live immediately following this, or right now if you wanted to go take a look as we finish up here. But let me also thank the French Taunter for gifting a Red Team membership as well. Thank you. And I guess I might as well thank the people that were here with me, too, while we're at it, bringing those amazing views. Max, thank you for joining me and for the commentary and some of those photos and everything there.
It's been a pleasure, Sawyer. Thank you very much for having me on tonight, guys, and thank you very much for coming to hang out with us. It was a very pretty one. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the show, but do not fear. There are certainly more launches to come, and we are prepping for a very busy March, and there's going to be a lot more coming up soon, so stay tuned.
Absolutely, and providing that tracking in the field and that other photo there, Jerry Pike. Jerry, thank you so much as well.
Yep, it's been a pleasure.
And it's been Jay Keegan who's the one pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, and producing tonight's stream. Thank you very much, Jay. And I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I have been your host for this record-setting Starlink launch, proving once again why these aren't your ordinary Starlinks and why you should come see all of them with us here. Thank you so much for joining. Head on over to Space Coast Live 24/7. Go see all of the booster and fairing half action. We will see you all on the next one.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did you just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center. Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.